Trevor Phillips Enterprises is about to blow up. Before we get back to our GTA 5 story, you need to know that this one is a real banger with a massive explosion of a plot twist at the end. So make sure you stick around to the end of this episode because I promise you've never seen the GTA 5 story presented quite like this before. Our story picks up with Trevor reminiscing about the good time he just had doing God's work by slaughtering dozens of toothless, uncultured, simpleton, inbred hillbilly swine here in the arid countryside outside of Los Santos. I can't bask in the glory of my legendary country bumpkin massacre for long. Trevor Phillips Enterprises isn't going to grow itself after all, and I have work to do. After expending so much energy exterminating hordes of rowdy rednecks, the meth supply in my system is starting to run low. I catch a whiff of the wind and note the familiar scent of skunky cannabis cabbage. I triangulate the source of the pungent odor and determine that somebody's toking it up behind a nearby pavilion. I run in to check it out and see if I can attain a state of intoxication before being forced to tackle the challenges of the day with a coherent, lucid, and sober mind. Sure enough, I find a couple of chaps enjoying some reefer and make my approach. I lay on the charm super thick and ask to get in on the puff-puff-pass rotation. Unfortunately, my dudes are already steeped in paranoia from partaking too heavily in the Pineapple Express. They deny my request, accuse me of being a cop, and start to get physical. I respond like a G, knocking them both out cold without hesitation. I then humbly accept their generous donations to Trevor Phillips Enterprises and ride out of there like a boss in my tricked-out high-performance pickup truck. At this point, our state-of-the-art for the 1950s meth kitchen is cooking up rocks with extreme efficiency, but we need someone to help us distribute them to unsuspecting women and children within the community to get them addicted to our product and grow our base of loyal customers. After decimating our business relationships with the bikers, Aztecas, and rednecks in the last episode, Trevor's prospects for business partners were running thin. Our only possible lead at this point is Mr. Chang. The problem, however, is that he also isn't too happy with us after we tossed him and his translator into an icebox while we went Rambo on dozens of Mexicans in the last episode. I merely kept them safe by employing standard OSHA safety protocols for avoiding gunfire during a gang shootout at a rural bar turned meth lab facility. Unfortunately, they weren't familiar with this particular OSHA standard, and instead of rightfully lauding me as their savior, they left in a tizzy and threatened to end our business relationship together. Feeling like we can win them back with our meth manufacturing and distribution business plan that's been extensively researched and proven in the field, we head to the bar where Mr. Chang and his translator were enjoying themselves when we first met. With our relationship strained, I dig deep, employing an impressive display of my own business acumen and company leadership capabilities. I remind them of my flawless business credentials and plans to transform the entire business landscape of gun running and meth distribution. I give a flawless, passionate presentation only to be told that Mr. Chang has already decided to partner with somebody else. This is quite the unfortunate turn of events. Being the kind of capitalist-minded business owner who understands the need to win at any cost, we're not going to let this keep us from achieving our company objectives. I use all the tact and diplomacy I can muster to finally convince my Chinese associates to divulge who it is that they've decided to do business with. They tell me they've partnered with the O'Neills, a rival startup in the meth production and distribution industry. Instead of outdoing our competition by finding new, innovative, cost-effective ways to better serve the market, we're going to take a more expedient, technically savvy, modern approach for solving our problems. We're going to go to the O'Neills farm, kill as many of them as we can, and sabotage their meth production line by setting it ablaze. I get to the farm and find it more heavily reinforced with inbred resistance than I anticipated. Given the heightened state of security, we need to take a more unconventional, highly tactical approach, so we whip out the suppressed sniper rifle and start picking off all the hopped-up honky-tonk hillbillies around the perimeter of the farmhouse. Once the outer security is cleared, it's time to make my move and start converging on the home that's housing the O'Neill's meth manufacturing plant. As we approach the home, a miscreant tries to take aim at us through the windows, but he quickly gets clapped. I decide to take the remaining threats head on. I bust through the front door and start dropping bodies like a G. I clear the first floor and head to the basement where I find a final hick holding out in the lab to put him down. With no further resistance standing in my way, I pick up a gas can and start dousing the house with gasoline. I make a trail from the meth lab up the stairs to the front porch and into the front lawn. We take aim with our trusty side piece, pop a shot to ignite the fuel, and watch our competitor's base of operation go up in flames. If that won't convince the Chinese to claim a stake in Trevor Phillips Enterprise, we just might have to sweeten the deal by throwing in some hookers and cocaine. But that will have to wait for now. It's a beautiful night with a clear sky, so I'm going to take the ATV out for a cruise under the stars and brainstorm how to make Trevor Phillips Enterprises a more diverse and inclusive workplace. We swerve around the dirt roads and find an old friend named Maud chilling on the front porch with her MacBook. We catch up on lost time as Maud tells us she's tracking some fugitives from the law and would like to pay us for our services helping her catch some of these low-life drains on society. We agree to give her a hand, bid our farewells, and save Maud's contact info in the cell while we wait for her to send us some bounties in the future. We've had a long and productive day, and the meth has completely wore off at this point, so I decide to head back to my luxurious double wide to unwind and prepare to make some more big moves tomorrow. The ATV is starting to wreak havoc on Trevor's hemorrhoids though, so we jump off and start looking for something a little more ergonomic. We find a nice young man riding a sick dirt bike and trade him a .50 caliber rifle round in exchange for his wheels. I think he may have gotten the better end of the deal, but with our business prospects shining so brightly after taking down the O'Neill's meth lab today, I refuse to dwell on my momentary lack of business discretion and continue toward home. We get to our home, start walking toward the door, and Wade comes outside. He tries to hide, but his attempts fail. Wade's been scoping out Los Santos trying to find Michael for Trevor. He's under the impression that he hasn't found any valuable intel and is worried that Trevor will be angry with him. He shares what he's learned with Trevor, and it looks like he may have actually found a solid lead on where Mikey is living. This gets Trevor too excited to sleep, so we jump on the bike and start heading in the direction of Los Santos. While driving toward Los Santos, we decide to make a quick stop along the way. The last remnants of the biker gang we decimated with our shotgun in the last episode have taken refuge in a rundown trailer park on the way into Los Santos. I'm going to introduce the biker holdouts to some newly acquired sticky bombs and make sure they don't cause any more disruptions in my business. I sneak around the trailer park like a middle-aged meth addict ninja, strategically placing sticky bombs without being seen. Once all the sticky bombs are in place, we take cover in a safe space right next to a canister containing a highly volatile explosive substance and detonate the charges. The bombs go off, biker lives are ended, and the final survivors come scurrying out like cockroaches. We pull out the shotty and start putting greaser bodies down. I kill every biker in sight, and just when I think I got them all, I see one trying to escape in the distance. I fire a warning shot and let him escape in my mercy. Besides, I figure it's better to leave one of them alive who can share stories of the legend of Trevor Phillips with the masses and grow my already prodigious legacy. We join Wade back on the bike and start to make the ride toward Michael's house. Wade tells Trevor he has a cousin who lives in Los Santos, so we decide to pay him a visit. He welcomes us into his home, which he tells us actually belongs to his girlfriend. Trevor sends Wade and his cousin on a beer run as we hang back and turn the apartment into our new Los Santos base of operations, which I'm sure the girlfriend will completely approve of. We're in a new city and need to try to do a better job of fitting in. If I'm going to be mixing it up with the highly educated and sophisticated people of Los Santos, I'm going to need to upgrade the drip. We get a fresh change of clothes, deciding to rock the tank top for the ladies and throw on some hard-looking aviators to ensure nobody in this uppity, sexually progressive town will incorrectly assume my sexual preference is for anything but the females. Now that we're on fleek, it's time to head toward the spot where we believe Mikey has taken up residence. We leave the apartment, jump on the bike, and peel out of there. As we're making our way toward Mikey's house, we roll up on a gang of Mexicans loitering outside of a liquor store. We don't have any friends yet in Los Santos, so seeing this as a good networking opportunity, I get off my bike and head over to introduce myself. Things quickly go awry as Trevor is surprised to learn that racism is still alive and well in such an advanced, civilized city as Los Santos. The Mexicans tell Trevor that he doesn't look and sound like the kind of people they associate with. I try to reason with them. I tell them that love trumps hate and even quote Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. Their hard hearts are unreceptive to my pleas, however. It turns out this section of town, whose voter base overwhelmingly politically identifies as Democrat, isn't as tolerant and accepting as I'd been led to believe. Being a victim of racial profiling triggers Trevor, and we decide that the best way to heal from being the victim of racism is to engage in some therapeutic hate crimes of our own. We whip out the Uzi and start spitting bullets in the direction of anyone with more melanin than us. After taking out 53 Mexicans in my rage, but who's counting, I realize that I'm never going to defeat racism with more racism, and my anger subsides. While surveying the carnage I just unleashed, my eye catches a beautiful luxury SUV in need of a new owner. Sadly, its previous owner was tragically killed in a senseless act of racially motivated violence. We hop in our new whip and hit the road. I get close to Michael's house and decide to upgrade to a more sporty vehicle. After all, it's been 10 years since Trevor has seen his old friend, and we need to make sure we make a good first impression. We find a woman driving a beautiful jet black sports car. I provide ample motivation for her to let us borrow it for a bit, jump in the gorgeous beast, and then thank her for her troubles while I drive away. We drive across town and finally pull up to Michael's house. Trevor walks straight into the kitchen unannounced, and Michael is stunned by the visit by his old friend. Michael catches Trevor up on how he faked his death and is now living under the witness protection program. Trevor reminisces with the rest of the family and realizes that Michael's daughter Tracy isn't around. He asks where she is, and Jimmy informs him that Tracy is at a filming session for a popular reality TV show called Fame or Shame. Tracy intends to share her dancing talents with the world. Michael, knowing that his daughter has the dance skills of a three-legged drunken hyena, takes off with Trevor as they drive toward the studio to stop her from humiliating herself for a nationwide audience. We arrive at the studio and head into the building. Trevor assaults the first worker he finds and demands to know where to find Laszlo, the host of the show. The stunned worker gives us his location, and we arrive just in time to catch Tracy's audition. Tracy starts her performance and things quickly get out of hand. Tracy's underwear ends up on the floor, followed by a twerking session on the desk with Laszlo putting his hands all over Michael's daughter. Michael has seen enough. Trevor grabs a metal folding chair as Michael shoves the celebrity host off his daughter. Security tries to intervene, but Trevor is ready and swiftly smashes the chair into his dome. Laszlo makes a run for it. Trevor and Michael chase Laszlo outside the studio to find him taking off in his car that might as well be a billboard with the words, "I am definitely not a heterosexual," posted on it. We grab the closest wheels we can find, 18 of them to be precise. We bring the diesel engine to life and put the pedal to the metal. The good news is that this big, beefy truck more than compensates for any insecurities we may have with our manhood. The bad news is that it's too slow and our man is getting away. In a stroke of innovative genius, I pull a 200 IQ move and drop the trailer to shed some weight and gain a surge of acceleration.
Genius!
We wind through the streets as Laszlo does his best to lose us. Unfortunately for him, my driving skills are too impressive for that to happen. After a long chase, Laszlo gets desperate and heads into a drainage system, thinking the drop will be too much for our diesel to handle. Joke's on him though, as I go Terminator 2 Judgment Day on him, get some sick air, and land our American-made sack of steel without even a scratch. We stay on Laszlo's tail for a bit longer before the battery in his virtue signal on wheels runs out of juice. He gets out of his car and starts begging for mercy. We decide to have a little fun with him by giving him a taste of his own medicine. Trevor strikes the fear of God into Laszlo before ordering him to drop trow and dance sexy for the camera on his phone. Laszlo pulls out his best moves and drops it like it's hot before losing his balance and falling onto the pavement. Satisfied with the humiliation we've inflicted on Laszlo, we send him running home half naked in his tidy whities. Michael and Trevor bid their farewells and go their separate ways. Michael immediately calls his witness protection officer Dave and tells him about Trevor tracking him down. Michael and Dave plan a meeting at the observatory to figure out what to do now that Trevor is privy to the fact that Michael faked his own death and is alive and well living in Los Santos. It's been a crazy day with many unexpected plot twists, capped off with Trevor reuniting with his old partner in crime, Michael. Things are getting real saucy, and you just know the situation for our protagonists is only going to continue spiraling more and more out of control. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see how it all continues to unfold. Be sure to subscribe to not miss out on the rest of our story, and smack that like button to let me know you want to see more GTA 5 content like this on the channel. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.